Good evening, Cubs and Cardinals fans. It's so good to be back. We have everybody here. It's been a while. Brecklin is adjusting to law school. I'm sure we will get into that in a moment. Elliot is adjusting to, nothing because he still has that horrible cough. And I am adjusting to being here. But one more thing for you guys to adjust to. Got a special surprise for you. Joining us in 1 second. There he is, co-founder of the Team Rivals podcast.
I missed you.
Buddy, how you been?
You look better now. What happened to you?
Hi, Sarah.
Hey.
Did I look that bad before? I mean, Christ.
Yes, you did.
Well, anyway.
I didn't mean to break anyone.
Yeah, I've been good. Brecklin got the quote of the night.
Yeah.
There's the name of tonight's podcast.
That is.
It's better now.
Thank you, Brecklin, by the way. Appreciate that.
He looks relaxed. You look relaxed. You know.
Well,
looking
we're on
good there, buddy.
From, Ron?
We're at Oak Island Beach in North Carolina. So,
Wait, isn't there like pirate treasure there or something?
There's rumor of that stuff, and I'll probably search a little bit tomorrow for about 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah. You go out there, do one scoop with the kid's bucket, and run it through some water. Oh, I didn't find anything.
As long as there's beer in his hand, he's good.
There we go.
Good
Gotta
to
get
see
that
you.
White Claw.
You too, buddy.
It's White Claw.
We do have White Claw here, by the way.
Mango. I love it.
Aaron asked if he's seeing a ghost. Maybe.
He is.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm getting ready to share this.
I can't do it. How do I find the
Go to Wi-Fi and
I'm an idiot.
it's at the top.
Okay.
I'm trying to share the show out,
Outstanding.
Woo!
Good man.
but great to. It's been a long time since all four of us have been on live together, so this is really, it's really great. Great to see all you guys.
Yeah,
Good to see you too, my friend.
Yay!
And Breck, congratulations! You're starting up law school. So Sarah's my wife's sister is an attorney. She went through the same rigors. So maybe able to connect you guys to get a little bit of insight or.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be
Hold on, we gotta
lovely.
figure out the Wi-Fi here so I can share that. You guys go ahead with your show.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ron.
Well, since the last time, God, I can't say since the last time we all worked together because that was a long time ago and a lot of water's gone under the bridge. But since the last time the show was together, the home team held serve once again. I don't recall ever seeing a year like this where the home teams have won every single game in any series, much less the Cubs and the Cardinals. So that's something. Brecklin, how you feeling watching the Cardinals just look bad to the Cubs a week after they made the Cubs look incompetent?
I wish that we could just like get on a train and stay on it instead of jumping back and forth everywhere. But why would I expect us to be consistent at all?
Well,
So-
yeah, I mean, that's kind of par for the course, right?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on this season. I was hoping that May was just when we were going to get all the losing out of our systems and then we were just going to go on a tear.
Fat chance of that.
Okay, I like this. You actually laugh at what I say. This is we
First
need
time
her around
Sarah's
more
ever appeared
often.
on the Team Arrivals Live. Here she is.
Oh, that's funny. That
No,
was
she's been on there twice.
She didn't know it though.
When she came out to the garage to yell at you.
Elliot, what are your feelings? I mean, we're already one series removed from it, but how are you feeling after last weekend?
Pretty good.
I would hope so.
The series against the Cardinals was nice. Taking all three at home, it's always great to beat the Cardinals. But then you get the series after, and they may kind of playing okay. I mean, the starting pitching has been good. It's just
phenomenal.
We had a couple run-ins where we ran into some decent pitching, and the Cubs offense just didn't take off. We saw the bullpen kind of cave on itself. Again, I mean, the game against the Rockies was terrible. I know Joe keeps going to that bench with Brad Brock, and God, that guy, he's having a rough time right now. I think he's given up at least a run in his last 7 appearances for something like an 18 or 19 ERA in those 7 appearances. So, but it's been pretty good. So we got a nice little test this weekend. I can't really call it a test. We got the Dodgers this weekend, 4-game series. Tonight's going to be an interesting game. Kershaw, Lester. Yeah.
Yep. Ron, how about you? Were you able to watch last weekend's series? And how much did it hurt? Please tell me it hurt a lot. Please. I want to hear it.
This is how you welcome him back?
Yes.
Just to be like, tell me about how in pain you are.
I've missed him. Not hearing you, my friend.
You on mute, buddy?
He's just so in pain he can't squeak the words out.
Even though I have the ability. Oh dear, Kyle Schwarber just took Clayton Kershaw deep. Sorry.
First,
Ron, we're not hearing you. Have you muted
game.
yourself? Yeah. It looks like he's
telling us to keep on going.
I think he's telling us to keep going. I guess he wants us to gloat more and more about Kyle Schwarber hitting a home run on the first pitch against Clayton Kershaw.
I said that he looked better, and now he's relying on his looks now. He's not going to say anything.
I think that's exactly what it is. Oh, well, I will say that I personally enjoyed the hell out of last weekend. Aaron Mullins weighing in saying the series went exactly as he anticipated it would go. That's not quite how I anticipated it would go, but that was the way that I certainly. Well, actually, we talked about it last week, Elliot, and I said I didn't think that a sweep was in order. I finally felt that an away team was going to win the game, and of course, I was wrong. So I'm just going to keep that up. Now the teams won't face each other again until I believe it's late July or early August.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, they're done for a while.
They've got a really weird. I was really surprised that there wasn't going to be any July series between the Cubs and the Cardinals, because usually there's at least one series during the month of July. So it kind of stinks, but it'll also be nice to play them at the end of the season when it's going to count, because it'll just make those series much more intense.
Right. I agree. And unless I'm mistaken, and I'm sure it's probably true for the other teams, I just haven't checked. But the Cubs end the year with, I think it's 10 straight games against the NL Central. So how about now, Ron? Give us another shot.
Well,
there we go.
No, the infiltrator tried to. He was FaceTiming me, trying to get into the podcast. The infiltrator is. It's my son.
Yes, we know who the infiltrator is. He hasn't been on in a while either.
He hasn't been on in a long time. So, guys, we couldn't hear you either. We saw all your mouths moving.
They looked good. They looked.
You guys look good.
Thank you.
You look really good. But let me ask you this. I mean,
yes.
Obviously, a big night for St. Louis last night, Brecklin, right?
Yes.
We were going to get to that.
I went into the night expecting to be disappointed, because that's what we do as cynical, circumspect fans, that once again Boston would uproot all of our hopes and dreams. You didn't.
No, they didn't.
They didn't, though.
I know.
That's what I thought. We're going to fight about this again, aren't we? Anyway, kidding. No, I think last night was I know I'm taking a hockey pivot here.
Oh, we were going to pivot there anyway.
That's okay.
And I will fully admit that I'm I've been over the last decade a fair weather hockey fan. But before that, I was a avid hockey fan. I grew up near Peoria, Illinois, which was Peoria Rivermen, who were affiliates of the Blues, who had, Curtis Joseph, Brett Hull, Kelly Chase, Tony Twist, all these big names that have been known through the Blues organization that are still hanging around and still live in St. Louis. I kind of grew up watching these players play. And last night was a significant, I think, event for St. Louis, just for the people of St. Louis, just for the, it's great. Another championship arrives in St. Louis, but I think I'm more happy for the people of St. Louis because St. Louis needed this. The Rams leaving, the Cardinals team missing the playoffs for potentially 4 straight years now. It's like they really needed this moment. And so I'm very happy for the people who have live and die St. Louis, that drink in the sports, that it's just a really, really great point in time for them.
I agree. I tell you what, I have to confess something since we've got you here. Elliot and I had a little bit of a back and forth on Sunday. I'm going to go ahead and read it to you guys. I texted him late Sunday night, said, would it be wrong of me to root for the Bruins to win the Cup simply to further aggravate Cardinals fans? The popcorn as they turn their ire towards a team that misses the playoffs for the 4th year in a row would be delicious. To which Elliot responded, Pete, I am cheering for this to happen. I want to roll in St. Louis misery and drink their tears.
Y'all got a problem. Y'all got something.
But hang on. I'm setting the stage.
No, he's gonna switch.
I'm setting the stage.
Okay.
I had a change of heart.
No.
After game 6. After game 6, I wanted to see you guys win. And here's why. So that when you guys are cheering about St. Louis finally winning the Cup, I can respond with, I'm sorry, I can't hear you over the sound of our 5 Stanley Cups clinking together.
And there he reveals himself.
I love you.
Talk to me when you guys win 4 more Stanley Cups.
And I tell you what.
And here we go.
Ellie, you were always my favorite. You were always my favorite.
After the Hawks won their 3 cups in those 5 years, I tell you what. Game 7s of a Stanley Cup Finals is so much fun. I don't care who's playing. I watched that game last night, and I was cheering for the Bruins. Yeah, because I don't want to see Boston win another freaking championship. They have enough. So I'm happy for Blues fans. They finally they got their one. So
you can say Jack.
Good for them.
What brought me so much joy is that I have a friend who, I don't know if he's from St. Louis area, whatever, somebody I went to college with. So we have never talked baseball or anything. I don't think he could care, but he lives and breathes Blues hockey. And just watching his Snapchats as they progressed through the night, because he put everything on his story, I have never seen more happiness in a single man before. So that made me happy that just,
really?
Yeah. No. Very funny. Yeah, you're really great. But yeah, no.
Maybe I should duck out now.
Oh shush. Shush. No, he had a bunch of other people. They were at a bar, and then everyone there got so excited that they opened up to the roof, and so everybody ran out onto the roof and started screaming Gloria. And so I don't know. I thought that was a really cool moment. I was excited for them.
Oddest choice for a victory song ever.
Yeah,
it is. I couldn't agree with you more, Pete. It's an awful song. I don't know how that. Well, I know the backstory and how that came to be, but it is an awful song, and I don't want to hear it. But I'm just happy for the city and the people. That's bottom line.
And for your brother-in-law Nick, and your brother-in-law Eric.
Yes, and for my brother-in-laws, kind of.
They're big Blues.
No, it's a good thing for the city. They need it. They're trying to get an MLS team now, and the city's still in pain over the Rams leaving the way they left. So, yeah, it's a great.
Yeah, that has to stay.
Yeah,
so
does.
boring. Right.
I wonder if Los
So
Angeles when the Rams left Los Angeles to go to St. Louis. Anyway,
Yeah, I don't think anybody cared in Los Angeles at the time.
you're right.
Why is he so mean?
Jeez.
Because he's been gone for so
I know
long.
It's his nature.
It's
I
been
love
building
it.
up.
Anyway, baseball.
Baseball.
There we go.
Oh.
Baseball.
Yeah, that's pretty much my feeling, especially after looking at the Mets game in the corner of my eye, and it's like,
What is the score right now?
I couldn't tell you. It was a
Don't
tie
tell
game
us.
last I checked,
Eight.
and then it got the rain delayed again.
The Cubs game, it's 2-0.
We
The
didn't
Cubs have
ask
minutes.
I didn't ask any. No, I didn't ask anything about the Cubs game. I asked about the Cardinals score.
It's delayed.
You were-
It's delayed
you
in the
were
bottom of the ninth at 4-4.
Yeah, I was gonna say
what?
delayed a tie
At what?
game. 4-4.
Hey, you guys may get above 500 again.
Wow.
Whoa.
Why do you even do that?
Well, this is
Do you want
relevant.
us to hate you more than we already do?
To be fair, I would do the exact same.
I know. We're not buttheads to each other.
See, Pete is still kind of nice to me because I'm still relatively new, and so now that Ron's back, he can
Just
unleash
wait.
all of this.
I know.
Just wait.
The clause came out.
It's coming. It's coming.
It's coming.
And
Yeah, the
one
Cubs,
of these days.
the Cubs have put together a nice run. The month of May was brutal for the Cardinals. I mean, just
Oh yeah, let's talk
Unbelievably
about
brutal.
that more.
Historically bad month of May for the Cardinals. I couldn't agree with you more. And I listened to a few of the Bernie Miklasz show and the morning after and all this other stuff, and it's like it has been a historically bad month for the Cardinals. They've ended April on a high note, and once they decided to defer the final game to the Nationals and went to Chicago, it's been a disaster. It's been an utter disaster. So, fans, of course, are calling for heads to roll. Most of them point to the president of baseball operations, John Mozeliak, and
Yeah.
rightfully so.
rightfully so. I mean, he's the one that orchestrated and built this roster, and has quite frankly taken half-measured moves. And somebody can counter me by saying, "Well, they traded for Paul Goldschmidt," which is true, right? They traded for a known factor, and a year prior they traded for another what they thought was a known factor in Ozuna, but there's still gaps. They're still like, well, we've got another guy in the minor leagues that we think can come up. We'll roll the dice and think that he's going to fill in a void. Pete, you've heard me say it for 2+ years now. They keep thinking they can make these guys into something they're not, and it's proven out that they're not. Right? The first year we started this podcast, they tried to make Matt Carpenter. Sorry, not Chris.
Yeah, I was gonna say easy.
Been a while.
Tried to make Matt Carpenter a 3-hole hitter. Right? Rolled the dice and said, well, he can step up and be a 3-hole hitter. No, Matt Carpenter's a role player. You tried to make him a cornerstone, and he's a role player.
Yeah, they should have sold. They should have sold last year when his stock was at its peak, because now they're stuck with him.
Yeah,
I mean, they're stuck with him.
Decided to extend him in the offseason.
Right. Exactly.
I feel like something that this team does a lot is that once you get somebody who's a name in the franchise, it doesn't matter if there's other people that are better than them out there, because they're so intent on keeping that kind of integrity that they decide to go ahead and try to make what we have happen, so that way people keep buying the jerseys and have that, he's our boy type of thing.
And
that's why we're not getting there.
A lot of I couldn't agree with you more, and a lot of Cardinal fans are like, but he has a beard and the salsa.
The salsa. What am I going to do with?
He can sell the salsa at Kroger in Cincinnati. If you can get some of their prospects from him.
I got to tell you, I think the thing that has surprised me the most over the last, almost whole year since Schilt came up, it's been the lack of development among the players at the major league level. This is a system that's been known for its development of players from the minor leagues on up. And for whatever reason, it stalls the last several years. It's stalled at the major league level. And you thought that when Schilt came up, when Jeff Albert came up, they brought a lot of guys up from the minor leagues that you would see that continued growth. And it just hasn't happened in the last year. And that, I think, has been the thing that I've been most surprised by, is that these guys, their development is stalled. It's not something that I would have expected when you had that many names who were brought up from the minors into the major league squad.
Well,
Yeah.
sorry, go ahead, Ron. Okay.
No, but that really has been a thing with them. And questions in the industry among fans, amongst everybody, is that do the Cardinals value their own stuff more than others do? Like, did they over-evaluate? Do they over-expect? And I think we're kind of seeing some of that, Brecklin. I think that's maybe where you're going.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. It gets back to the thing of, well, these are our guys and this is how they play. And it's like they're trying to make a bunch of little adjustments, saying, okay, well, let's take a little look at your stance. Let's do something like that, to where I think the main difference that happened whenever Schilt and these other people came up is more of the managerial style in the gameplay itself. But when it came to further developing the players, that extra step really wasn't taken. So even though we may be trying to make different moves throughout the course of the game, what we're doing with the players, it's just become stagnant. And we mentioned before, like, oh, well, we got Paul Goldschmidt.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, right. And Marcell Ozuna. And I almost feel like if we hadn't been making, because it seems like we make the one play every season, then everyone else is, well, nothing else is going to happen because we have that one guy. And it's like, well, when things aren't working like this, which even whenever you're doing well and not amazing, there needs to be that expectation saying, no, you need to take that initiative to do even more. And it seems like we're afraid to do that for some reason. We make our one big change and that's it.
Right. Well, I think that's the criticism that the Cardinals front office has been getting for a long time. They make one move and they say, we're done. We did it. Like, we changed it. And like, it's coming to an end where I think the front office knows that they can't dupe the fans anymore. We knew that just Paul Goldschmidt wasn't enough.
Well, and one of the areas where a lot of Cardinals fans wanted to see some change was the starting pitching, because they knew who they had wasn't going to be the answer long term. And it's kind of shown its warts here as we've gotten further into the season.
Right. Yeah. It's been bad. It's by far, you're right, Elliot. It's been the worst part of the Cardinals team. Has been the starting rotation, which front office and everybody pitched us was the strength, and it's not.
Right.
Well, they tried.
Go ahead, Brecklin. Go ahead.
I'll say they're trying to mask it over, once again, talking about that type of development, saying, listen, we got a lot of young arms. We got people that are coming up. So you're going to see them really take off this season, which is really nice to think of. And if that was what they were truly expecting at the beginning, seeing how it's playing out now, we need to be taking more aggressive changes to it, because that's not what's happening. I mean, we've mentioned Adam Wainwright multiple times on here, and I will say that that's one of those where, he's our guy. I was excited to see him come back. I'm still not mad about that. But for the rest of it, I just wonder, well, what are we doing? And I would almost say that I'm more mad at the bullpen, and maybe that's just my own vendetta, but I was going to ask Ron about that too, but we can hit that in a second.
Go ahead, Ron.
No, I absolutely think there can be anger at the bullpen, because none of them have delivered as promised. I mean, they've all had struggles. Andrew Miller has not been recovered Andrew Miller.
Or good Andrew Miller. I didn't expect him to be recovered.
And if there's any criticism that can be thrown at this front office, is that criticism that's usually thrown out as fans is they're not willing to spend money.
Yeah.
Wrong. I'll do the show. Wrong. No, they've spent money. They've spent money. It's just been, it hasn't been wise. I mean, they've invested in Dexter Fowler. They invested in Brett Cecil, and none of those things have worked out. And so Luke Gregerson, they released him. They signed him for 2 years. It's just been a misstep on their part for, I think, recognizing what talent they have internally and then augmenting externally and spending money externally has been a huge failure on their part.
Well, yeah, and it also seems that whenever we are okay, so take the Andrew Miller example. Whenever we are making these moves, it's like, oh, well, he's not going to be as good as he was, but he's still going to be a good player, so he's going to be valuable to this team. I understand what the reasoning is there, and it's once again with the development type of thing, like, oh, we'll bring him in, we'll try to work him back up, whatever. And we've done that so many times, it ends up costing us so much in the long run that eventually, not to say that you have to buy your team completely, but you either need to, as I've said a million times already, be more aggressive with the development of the players you already have and be willing to cut those who aren't showing that kind of potential, or don't be afraid to, I don't want to say spend extra money, but look at other options that aren't potentially people like Andrew Miller who have been injured and, whatever. And I'm not trying to talk, poorly about any of these players. It's just that when you make that decision consistently, it's not going to get you anywhere. Though I will say that getting Matt Wieters was a good decision.
Well, I would dip back a little bit in the past. The Cardinals at one point in time were very good, and I perhaps point a little bit to Walt Jocketty and La Russa era, right? They were very good at recognizing players like a Darryl Kyle, or pick out another one here, another pitcher that they could bring in that was on the downward trend, and they could bring him in and resurrect their career. La Russa and Duncan were able to do that successfully, and Walt Jocketty was the GM behind all that. Now, probably the downside of Walt Jocketty was he depleted. He thought he could trade his way out of any situation, which he did frequently. But the days of being able to fleece a team for a McGuire or a Scott Rowland or those days are obviously over. Like, organizations are smarter now, right? So you can't dip into that well as much anymore. So the Cardinals are really, while I think they were ahead of their time as far as analytics and drafting and developing, I think the Cardinals now, front office and fan base, like we love our own prospects. We love our Harrison Baders. We love our, but they don't really translate into successful, long-term, sustainable pieces. And I think that's what we're kind of up against right now. And it's like, we just have guys, I live and breathe this kind of shit. Pete, you and I have done this podcast for over 2 years.
Yep.
I've never been as uninterested in watching Cardinal baseball as I am right now, because it's just not exciting. What they're putting out there right now is it's not fun to watch. And so I've had my own personal struggles getting excited to watch this team play. So whatever needs to be done has to be done, but you have to create some kind of excitement. You have to create some kind of pull for the fan. And with this front office, this tone they take is just, it makes it really difficult. Like, why would I want to pack my family up for 2 hours, drive to St. Louis, spend several $100s on a game? It's this formula doesn't last forever. You got to constantly adjust. And I think the Cardinals have gotten complacent that they think their formula and their development is going to survive. I think everybody's caught up with them.
Yeah.
Well, Ron, I can help you rekindle that interest in baseball. Just come on over to the light side. You get interested in good baseball again.
Yeah, that's never going to happen.
Well, I'll add this note before we move on for it. I completely agree with what you're saying, Ron. I have been open this entire season with that. I just haven't been able to watch a lot of games, and I'll be completely truthful with that. I mean, I was graduating from college and now I'm in law school. So on my priority list, while I obviously adore baseball, I've just had other things that have demanded my attention. But I always notice that when I go back and I look at it, or even the recaps or anything, it's like, I didn't really miss anything. I can, read a recap and say, oh, well, I didn't. That excitement isn't there. And we've been talking about this development where we do have some really good prospects, but pulling back on the Carson Kelly situation, it seems like we're afraid to let go of them as well. because the guys that are on our roster were like, yeah, these are our guys, so they're going to stick around. And even though there may be somebody not necessarily waiting for their spot, but that plays that position who could have the potential to be developed into a stronger player, we're so afraid to let go of the guys that we have that we don't develop who's waiting. And then we don't trade away our top prospects because then we think, oh, well, if something happens, we need to make sure that they're right there.
Right.
And then our prospects regress. And then they do get called up for whatever happens. And we just stay in the same mud pit that we've been in. So,
well, it's hard when you have a guy like a Yadier Molina, like a Sammy Sosa, who's not going to come out of the lineup.
Don't you even dare compare those two.
No. I'm not comparing them from a quality of player or a quality of person. What I am referring to is the strength of their personalities and their refusal to come out of the lineup. And so what it does is it serves as a roadblock in developing the person who's going to take that spot. And so eventually you either have prospects who don't get to the point that they need to be. So when they come up, they've been playing against AAA players for so long, they're not, they're just mentally not ready and they're not able to take the place. Or you end up trading them away. And so then what you end up having to do is you end up having to take stopgaps. So Carson Kelly got traded away. He finally got playing time and he really started to show for the Diamondbacks this year before he went to the DL. I just wonder if that's going to happen with Kisner too, because Yadi is going to insist on maintaining his time. I mean, even with Yadi down, Matt Wieters has gotten more of the starts than Kisner has. Not to take anything away from Wieters, but at some point you have to say Matt Wieters is not our future. Andrew Kisner is. He needs to be getting more of the starts than Matt Wieters is.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree with that more. I mean, if you're willing to trade away, and you made the point, Pete, like you're willing to trade away Carson Kelly, right? Even though you have a Yachty locked up for one
more year
beyond this one.
Yep.
You've got to eventually be willing to test what you invested in, and that's been kind of a reluctance of the Cardinals. Like, test what you're invested in. If you have all these guys that people write articles about and praise on Twitter all the time, test them.
Yep.
But they seem like not willing to go full out.
And where that comes back to bite you is Andrew Kisner now is in his second option year. You only have 6 of those before you got to let them go or you got to do something with them. Ryan Helsley is getting jerked up and down this year
Terrible, absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
The way the Cardinals have handled Ryan Helsley.
Yeah,
shameful almost.
I agree.
Yeah,
you need to decide what he is.
I was going to say, if you guys want to talk on that, I think that's really important. I was really excited to see Tommy Edman come up. I'm not sure if you noticed anything from that, Ron, or what your thoughts were on it. But
I want to ask my wife, what do you think about Ryan Helsley?
What do I think about him?
Okay, exactly. No, that's exactly. No, I ambushed you on that one. I should.
Sorry, is he
that was a Claymore mine. She had no idea what I was talking about.
No, I was looking at Instagram.
But your point's made.
Yeah, I mean,
your point's absolutely made, Ron.
Yeah, I mean,
you're welcome.
Thank you.
I do add value occasionally.
That's right.
Every time.
Ryan Helsley,
Tommy Edman.
Tommy
Or
Edman.
he's not the one you thought was cute. That was Randall Grichuk. He was traded 2 years ago to Blue Jays.
I liked him. You know what?
There you go.
Hey. Okay. Oh, sorry. Were you asking her?
No, go ahead.
Lance Berkman. She liked him because he's a good old country boy.
Fat Elvis?
He kicked dust up when he ran.
I like that.
He's kind of like the Brian version of a baseball player.
Well, I don't know if you guys will be shocked to hear me say this or not, but if we're talking about, if you could disregard contracts and all of that and just rebuild the team saying, okay, well, who would you keep around? Who would you replace with their respective prospect that plays that position? I would say that I would keep Harrison Bader over anyone. When I think of who I want to stick around, Colton Wong and Harrison Bader.
You agree? Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I I don't disagree either, because when you take his defense in center field, first and foremost, I mean, that's what he is, right? You're getting a really good defensive center fielder. What I would love to see Harrison Bader take the next step is to be a more consistent hitter.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think most of us Cardinal fans would say the same thing. Like, we love what he brings with the glove. We want to see him take the next step with the bat. So I believe he should be a centerpiece. Beyond that, I kind of scratch my head. I mean, obviously, Paul Goldschmidt is going to be around for 5 more years, so he has to be a cornerstone.
Yeah.
But beyond that, Brecklin, I think it really should be all things on the table for the Cardinals front office.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I had mentioned this before on the show where I talked about, because a lot of people are very excited about Harrison Bader, which is completely understandable. I think that he's great, especially defensively. I agree with everything that you said.
Even though you don't like blondes.
Even though I don't like blondes. I call him Goldilocks. What?
Sarah doesn't like blondes either.
Yeah, see, I'm telling you, we'd be really good friends. This is our
friends.
boring. But no, and I was, saying like, okay, well, we can be really excited about him, but I think that he's getting almost even more hype because of the players who are around him that don't show the kind of drive and hustle and initiative. So when he's bringing that just about every single game, yes, that in itself is honorable, but we need to be constructing the team and be making kind of corner pieces of people who are giving that effort every single time, not someone who, I think Marcell Ozuna has been kind of working on it, but just kind of lightly jogs to the ball. I can't make fun of Yachty here because that's all he's got left in him apparently in base running. But, just that type of thing where I want
Yachty runs
to be pushing. Only
No, I think you're like 95% right. The only thing
5% wrong about my
you said something about Yachty. She doesn't agree, but no.
I like Yachty. He's just not fast. I tell him you won't run, and then you don't have to run.
He has never been fast, and he's
I mean, so that's not his fault, but that's all he's got.
But he is the face of the Cardinals right now.
He is the face of the Cardinals.
He is who the Cardinals
I would say this though, Yachty, it's okay to carry a piano, but you don't have to stop and play it. In the bass parts. I agree. He's
You're
very
my
slow.
least favorite person ever.
I know. I won that title again.
You can't say anything bad about him.
I'll say it.
Anything bad. I didn't mean it as anything bad.
He's just not fast.
He's just not very. He's the second slowest person in the MLB.
He's the slowest MFer in baseball. Pete, episode title.
No. You look good. That's the episode title.
You look better now.
Sorry, you look better now. Well,
You look better.
The last time I saw you, Ron, you were bloated. Anyway, we were talking about baseball.
Yachty.
We were.
We were talking about Yachty being slow.
Of course
which is worse, watching Yachty run the bases or watching Marcell Ozuna
throw a ball?
I guess you call it throw a ball.
I mean, watching Matt Carpenter throw a ball.
Watching Carpenter attempt to be defensive is.
Yeah, I don't know which is more painful, watching Carpenter throw or watching Marcell Ozuna throw. I mean, the Cubs ran on Ozuna mercilessly last weekend.
I'm beefing with Ozuna.
Yeah.
Every hit to left field. They took extra bases when the ball. They went first to third on Ozuna when the ball was hit to left field. You never see that. But I mean, that was just pitiful. But you're right. I think it may actually be more painful watching Matt Carpenter try to throw the ball from third base. He thinks
so. It's like watching. It brings me back to Net. I love the guy. I love the guy for his heart and his effort. But David Eckstein.
Oh
Yeah.
Had to put.
The guy had to put his entire body weight into a
He had to put every
over
ounce
to
of
first base,
strength and
his
soul
whole body
into every
the
throw.
whole thing.
But you know what? He did it every time. And so, but when you see Carpenter do it, you're like, shit, man, who put you over there? You shouldn't be there.
Yeah, no.
He's got a crow hop to throw it across the field to first base.
Yeah.
It's really bad. So
Mhm.
And unless I'm mistaken, that's his natural position, right?
Yeah.
that's what he
Can
came.
we start talking about the bad Cub players now?
Sure. Eloy Jimenez is a bad man.
Oh my
Unfortunately,
God.
he plays for the White Sox.
Bad men. I'm just talking about being bad players.
Oh, well, I was talking about a bad move. The next couple of years are going to be very painful as Jose Quintana is
Ooh,
a
I get to go to
solid
a Cubs
pitcher.
game, by the way,
Ooh.
Yeah.
in 2 weeks.
Oh, for the love of God!
I'll be rooting for their team. I don't know who they're playing. 27th?
27th?
Pull out the schedule.
I was gonna say, I'm guessing Pete is already on it.
Yeah, Pete's pulling
Wait,
it
you
up.
guys don't even know?
No,
What kind of
no,
fans are you?
No, he will. Data's pulling it up right now.
Let's see. On the
Atlanta.
27th, the Cubs are hosting the Braves. Ooh, it's a 1:20 start.
Great.
Nice.
Ooh, that'll be a good
Oh,
game
wait.
though. The Braves are a good team.
Yeah, they are.
26th then. Huh?
Mhm. Atlanta still.
What?
Same team. No, thank you, Elliot. Love you.
Don't you like the tag team nuddle on this one?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Fun.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
I had so much value.
You're welcome to join us anytime, Sarah.
Yeah,
That's
it's
right.
Okay, so you want to talk about bad Cubs players? Brad
yes,
Brock.
please, because we don't like Yachty, obviously now. So let's.
That's
We
not
never liked Yachty.
good. Okay.
No.
Okay, let's talk about bad Cubs players. Elliot, Brad Brock. I mean, we touched on this a little earlier, but he used to be a serviceable reliever. I guess we could call him the Candyman because of his last name, but he's been terrible.
Yeah.
Pretty much
Yeah.
all year.
He's always seems to give up a run in the inning that he comes into. He's been put in for mop up his last few games just to get some work in.
They brought him in last night to a 10-0 game, and he gave up a
run.
Like all he has to do is throw
Hold on,
strikes. And he
Elliot's
gave up a
talking.
run.
Elliot, can you open up a drink or something in front of the mic? Just for
KB with the bomb.
Elliot, you didn't hear me. Can you open up a drink or something in front of the mic?
It has to be
No,
organic.
That's a water. That's like a Dasani. It's not
He's
even
sick.
a Dasani. It's like Harris Teeter.
Kirkland. I'm on antibiotics. I can't drink. Sorry.
Bullshit.
I am.
The only
does
reason
not
not
care.
to take on antibiotics if you're afraid you're going to get pregnant, which I hope you're not.
No.
Gonna get
Elliot, is
pregnant.
there something you need to tell us?
I've had a cough for a month that I'm trying to get rid of, and I just started antibiotics 3 days ago, so I'm not going to screw it up.
Elliot, are you transitioning?
Yes. Absolutely.
What are your preferred pronouns going to be?
Oh, God.
Binary.
They? Okay.
They. Yeah.
Right. Fair enough.
There's multiple Elliots? now?
Yes, there's multiple Elliots.
Sometimes. If you give me
That
enough
would be
beers,
actually
I become somebody else.
I don't like. I like the Elliot who burped in front of the mic, who cracked the beer open without any regard.
Oh, he coughed in front of the mic before I muted him.
Doing it
Yeah.
He
now.
might die.
It's contagious.
Are
He
you
might
gonna
die.
Yeah.
It's contagious.
The poor man.
There it is.
There
Oh,
it is.
great. Now everyone's
There it is.
dying.
I'm not
Well,
dying. Who else
Another-
is dying?
Thank
Another
you for
contract.
holding it in there. Ron and Elliot are just
Taking
falling
over.
apart.
I'm taking over.
About time.
Sarah, what do you want to talk about? We'll put you in the spotlight.
Oh,
Go.
we don't want to talk about me. No.
No. You
No,
can
no,
talk
no.
about whatever you want. The podcast is yours.
No.
No,
No.
it is.
No, I don't want to.
So
Just kidding.
here's another bad Cubs player, Descalzo. Get
Yeah, he's been
Descalso?
terrible.
But he was a Cardinal.
The Scalzo?
he was.
Yeah, he was
Cardinal.
terrible.
He was one of my favorite.
He's been bad.
Cardinals.
He's been
I
a
mean-
terrible signing this year.
Yeah.
But he
Yeah.
he was a good one.
Unproductive. Like
I'm hearing a lot of calls for Robles to get called up.
Robles isn't getting called up until
I know.
somebody goes on the DL. Because to bring him up,
That.
they need to designate somebody off the 40-man roster.
Sorry,
So
what's the
they have to give up a
deal?
spot for him.
Well, and speaking of the 40-man roster, there was talk today that they're talking the possibility of Ben Zobrist trying to come back
That's
for
going to be
the
Really?
a while,
remainder of the year.
It's going to be a
would
while
be-
before he comes back, though. He's been out for so long. He has got to have his own little mini spring training.
I mean, what kind of?
It would probably be August. I would imagine.
Yep.
But that kind of puts a little pickle into the things that are going on, because we know that the Cubs are still going to try and probably get a left-handed reliever.
We think.
For the trade deadline. Hopefully they don't wait that long. Hopefully they do it sometime around All-Star break or
I don't
before
think
All-Star break.
But I don't think Ben Zobrist being on the 40-man and getting paid again is going to affect their ability to make any moves at the deadline. I mean, we're halfway through the season. They always keep something in reserve. Go ahead, Ron.
Agree. Pete, I don't think that's going to impact. If they really need to make a move or do something, I don't think that's going to. Yeah.
What were you going to ask about Zobrist there before Elliot got so wordy?
You know what? To be honest with you, I lost my train of thought.
Who else has been bad?
Well, I have a contract question for you guys,
Sure.
if that's all right. What do you think is going to happen when you have, I think it's Anthony Rizzo, Chris Bryant, and Javi Baez all come up for extension? Do you guys think that you're going to have the money to keep all of them, or who are you going to let go?
Well, it's not even Rizzo would be extension. KB and Javi,
they all become free agents after next year. There's no extension. They're all free agents next year.
Yeah.
So what you going to do?
E, what do you think?
Pay these men their money.
You're just like, spend all the money that the team has on these three men.
They will have it, though, but they will be printing money starting February of 2020. So they better start banking all that Sinclair money, because they're going to have to probably pay Chris Bryant $400 million and Javi Baez $400 million. I mean, especially if Javi can keep putting together another MVP type caliber season. I mean, between him and Bryant both are right now. So they're both in the talk. There's a lot of other players having really awesome seasons between Yelich and Bellinger, Nolan Arenado again. These guys are going to have to get paid. And I don't know. I don't see Anthony Rizzo taking a team friendly contract again. Oh well, yeah. Arenado got paid, but no, he's in that MVP talk though.
I tell you, Brecklin, I think that Rizzo and Bryant's contracts are tied together. I think that Baez wants to stay with the Cubs. I think the Cubs want to keep him, so that'll be a priority. I think that Rizzo staying with the Cubs is going to be largely dependent on Bryant, because I think Bryant's contract demands are going to be huge. And Scott Boras is one. I don't think Scott Boras is going to allow him to sign an extension. He's going to take him to free agency. And two, I think Chris Bryant wants to go to free agency, because I think there's still some bad blood with his call up and his Super 2 status. And the fact that the Cubs kept him down in the minors, there's still that grievance that is on the books that hasn't been settled. And I think that's going to be that continues to be an issue. I think Chris Bryant loves it in Chicago, but I don't think he's going to give him a hometown discount. And so I honestly think that if the Cubs do what it's going to take in order to keep Chris Bryant in Chicago, I think it might price Anthony Rizzo out of the market, because I agree, Elliot. I don't think Rizzo's going to take another team-friendly deal. He's missed out on a lot of dollars because he made it possible for the Cubs to improve themselves. And I think he's going to want to get paid this next time. What were you going to say there, Ron?
Yeah, what?
No, you guys were touching on Chris Bryant being sore on the service time.
Yeah.
And I absolutely agree that is going to be a factor with him staying with Chicago or not in the coming years. So I'm looking forward to Chris Bryant
playing third base, throwing the ball over to Paul Goldschmidt.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah,
having a
I
third
think
baseman
that'll
that
be
can actually
pretty
throw
damn
something.
Yeah,
That'll be
that's
pretty damn sweet.
that's just too boring, right
Could
there.
you? I was gonna say, could you imagine the
Shut your
uproar
mouth.
though?
Shut your mouth.
I mean, on Players Weekend, if let's play this, let's take this to its logical conclusion, right? Chris
Right.
Bryant signs with the Cardinals. It's Players Weekend. Doesn't his player jersey have to be boring?
Yeah.
Yes.
Even though he's
Yes.
playing with the Cardinals, he's got
The most boring non Hall of Fame number you can possibly imagine. I don't
Yeah,
know
right.
what that is right now, but
not KB. His name isn't KB. It's got to become boring for
Boring.
Players
Boring.
Weekend.
right.
Or
Mhm.
K boring.
Chris Boring.
Chris Boring. There you go. There you go. I like
I
it.
agree. And
I
that's
like it.
I think that's where I'll stick my landing on Chris Boring.
All right.
Boring.
Um,
I agree that Javi Baez should be the top priority there. I mean, I don't care what team that you are rooting for. I mean, I'm a Cardinals fan, and I'm here saying that Javi Baez is an amazing baseball player. So y'all would be incredibly stupid not to give everything that you can to keep him on your team.
I'm pretty sure Jim Cromer for the Two Birds on a Bat was like saying the same thing, right, Pete? Like
Yeah.
Our season preview, he thought that Javi Baez was something special.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and Aaron Mullins is a big fan of his as well. So I think everybody is if they weren't already on board, I think a lot of
Most
people are waking up.
recognize that he's pretty dynamic.
And he plays at a premium position as well.
And
Yeah.
we all
I feel like if you're a fan of baseball, you're a fan of Javi Baez.
nope.
I'd say that.
No, Brecklin.
Why? You don't have to be a fan of him when he's playing
Hey,
against your
There's
team.
some
But
people
what
on
more
that
would you
he's
want
too
from a
flashy.
baseball player?
He's a Cub. He's a Cub.
Okay, well, just as a player in general.
Nope. He's a Cub.
Well,
No,
to quote the obvious T-shirts design, Javier Baez is your favorite player's favorite player.
it's your favorite player's favorite player.
I would counter that by saying you shut your mouth right now.
I heard that Yadi Molina actually goes to sleep at night holding a Javi Baez teddy bear.
Yeah, all the
It's
stuffed
totally
animals.
not true.
All right, I'm going to give you guys before we duck out here and let Ron get back to his vacation. I'm going to give you guys a chance to whip around and talk about whatever it is you want. I know I'm springing this on you, but what the hell? It's a special night because Ron's back. So, Ron, the floor is yours, buddy.
Okay, I admit I zoned out a few minutes before you said that, but
Wow,
I'll say this.
he's back and can't
Yeah.
even pay attention to us.
Well, that's fine. I can handle it. I will tell you all three of you, Elliot, Brecklin, Pete. It's great to be on live with you guys tonight for so long. I've missed this. I have, and I know that Pete, especially you. This is a very fun thing for me to do. I love talking baseball, and especially, going so back in our history since 2001.
Yeah.
So it's great to talk to all of you tonight, and it's very special to me, and a lot of fun to be able to get on here again. So, guys, thank you.
Outstanding. Thanks for joining
Yeah.
us, Ron.
Inviting me back on.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah,
Elliot,
yeah.
floor is yours, buddy. Talk about anything.
Sold my house. Closing. Closing in July.
Do you fleece
So,
them? Do you fleece them?
oh, big time. No.
Good.
So yeah, we will be moving in July back to Illinois.
Outstanding.
Very fun.
Congratulations.
Yay.
Brecklin.
I'm excited.
First week of law school. What else you
Yeah.
want to tell us about?
That's mainly been the thing going on. I'm shopping for a desk so that way I can do some of that homework here. So if anyone has any good places to look for desks, let me know.
IKEA.
I can't. We don't have IKEAs here. The closest
you,
one is
They'll
in.
ship.
Yeah,
what?
they'll ship.
Oh,
ship to you.
okay. I'll send a picture whenever I put it together. Completely sideways or whatever.
They'll give you a wrench just big enough that you can scratch your knuckles on it when you're twisting it in.
And a couple pictures to show you how to do it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
You're right.
There we
That
go.
looks like a 3-year-old drew them in crayon.
Just see what I get through. But yeah, I'm mainly just really excited to be starting. My undergraduate wasn't involved with law at all, but I've always been passionate about learning the law. So now that I'm actually here and around other people who want to learn it has been, I don't know, almost mind-boggling. So I'm like, whoa, other people geek out about this stuff too. And I thought I was the weird one. So it's all fun.
And I'm sure in time, hanging around us will be of huge value.
Absolutely.
You meant detriment, Ron. Detriment.
No.
That's the word
Right.
you were looking for.
It's the word I was searching for.
Well, I told my class all about you guys, and they all think that y'all are pretty cool. So I don't know.
Well,
I love
Tell them to
y'all.
watch. Tell them to watch.
They've been drinking heavily, clearly.
Yeah.
That's not till Friday. Our bar review is Friday.
Just a lot.
Yeah.
Well, as for me, it's been a very busy week. Tuesday night, it was Elmhurst Youth Baseball Night at I still can't call it by its right name. It's still Comiskey Park to me. Guaranteed Rate Field. I got to watch the White Sox beat up on the Nationals and then almost blow it with my son and his teammates. From that game, I learned that Eloy Jimenez is a really, really, really bad man. He destroyed a baseball to center field. If you haven't seen it, that ball got out of there in a hurry. He's a monster. And Elliot, it's going to hurt for the next couple of years watching Eloy destroy baseballs on the south side of Chicago. And pretty soon, Dylan Cease is going to be joining him. Last night, just a little thing for you guys. You're probably not going to see us, but got to see Jeff Garland in concert. He was shooting a Netflix special at the Park West in Lincoln Park here in Chicago. And so a buddy and I went up and caught the show. And had my buddy not been wearing a Bruins jersey, we would have been down right in front because the stage manager was casting the show. And she walked by after she had sat everybody and she said, "Note to self, if you hadn't been wearing that jersey, I would have put you in the front row." So, but still, good stuff. You guys keep an eye out for that. It'll be on Netflix probably in the next couple of months. Jeff Garland. It was a funny show, and I'm sure that there is tons of stuff that is not going to make that show. But other than that, it's good to see a little bit of separation, even though the Cardinals aren't part of that separation. But the NL Central is finally starting to sort itself out. I think the Pirates finally starting to fall where they belong, given the run differential that they've had all year long. The Reds making their way up, but still 5 games separating the top of the division from the third place, 500 St. Louis Cardinals.
Yuck.
For those of you who are listening to the audio version of this, you're going to want to go and check out the end of the video to see what it was that caused us to all laugh at what Ron mouthed at the camera. I'm not going to repeat it, even though this show has already gotten an explicit rating. And so with that, I'm going to wrap things up here so that Ron can get back and enjoy his vacation. When we're not live on Facebook at Team of Rivals Podcast, you can find us online at teamofrivalspodcast.com, on Twitter at Team of Rivals Pod, and on Instagram at Team of Rivals Podcast. Contact us by email at the show at teamofrivalspodcast.com. Elliot, we can find you on Twitter at
TOR_Elliot.
Brecklin, you are at
Carry on cards.
And the mystery man who joined us again tonight. Ron, where can people find you on Twitter?
TOR_Ron75.
Oh, there we go.
Great. Say it again.
TOR_Ron75.
Nice.
There you go.
If you're listening to us after the fact, why not give Radio Public a try? Radio Public is a free platform that throws a couple of pennies our way every time you listen. Otherwise, you can catch us anywhere you listen to podcasts: iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Spotify, radio.com, TuneIn, and Google Podcasts. And if you'd like some of your own Team of Rivals gear, I do believe that the team store still exists on Zazzle.
It does. Just
You
buy
know.
hard goods.
Just stick with the hard goods. And with that, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Ron, thank you so much for joining us this week. It was so much fun. We've missed you, buddy. Any last thoughts? Anyone?
Cardinals.
Outstanding. They are not the best play-by-play men in the business. This has been the Team of Rivals podcast for June 13th.
Blues, Stanley Cup champions.
There you go. St. Louis Blues, Stanley Cup champions. We'll talk again when you guys catch up to our 5. Thanks again, everyone.